peace that also comes with it. The value of children losing their homes, children losing access to their education, kids losing their basic rights to live, and everything that comes along with this scenario that goes on. And once you look at it and that perspective of war, you start understanding the value of peace that comes with it. Because for one instance, could you think of yourself in those shoes of living in a war-torn country or a country currently active in war? I don't think any of us could. And going back to world wars, the instability and the casualties and the loss of life it caused. And now we see, hundreds of years later, decades later, we see the peace that we live in now. And we value this peace because we saw the consequences of what a war brought upon us. So I'll share a little bit more of a personal story with you guys. Like I said, I come from Afghanistan myself. I come from a political family, and in Afghanistan we've had a lot of security issues, aside from the country being struck in a devastating civil war for decades. And I'll share a story with you guys that made me realize the value of peace personally myself. I was actually a year younger than you guys. I was in 8th grade, and my school was a 50-minute drive away from my house. So I had to drive every day to school, and I had to be escorted by security in order to arrive at school. And because of the tensions and conflicts that were increasing within the country, I had to wear a bulletproof vest in order to go to school. And in between this 50-minute duration, I would get at least a minimum of 7 to 10 calls from my family that if I've arrived at school safely. And even when I was at school, they would still call me and they would tell me, look for shelter within the school. Look for shelter within the school, that in case, if anything were to happen, that you were able to hide yourself and protect yourself. Put yourself in those shoes for a minute of what you would do, how it would affect you mentally, and how would you continue on with your education, knowing that, or knowing the fact that anything could happen at any moment. Personally for me, that was a moment where I learned the value of peace, because I was a 14-year-old kid trying to go to school and be a regular civilian. But unfortunately, because of the insecurity and the instability that came in my country, unfortunately, I had to see these unforeseen events, and I had to experience those myself. And while I was focusing on the topic of education personally for myself, I'll talk about how peace affects and contributes more so to many, many things as we see in society right now. Peace contributes to a better educational system. We live in, well, if you guys, raise your hands if you guys are from Germany. EU, outside EU. Okay, so we've got a very, very diverse international community here. But as we are all here in Germany right now, we live in a peaceful country. So we see the value that it has brought us. You guys have access to very good education here at MSF. I'm a first-hand example, as I was a student here myself, like I said, but not in 9th grade. I was here for 11th grade. And you see the access in society for better healthcare. We see a better quality of life. You have resources and opportunities to many, many things in life, specifically in Germany or other countries as well, that many around the world do not unfortunately have access to in these scenarios. And this is what the value of what peace brings to us. And like you said earlier, World War I and World War II, and you mentioned the conflict in Israel and Palestine, you mentioned the conflict in Ukraine. When we look back into these historical events and we look into these current events, we see how the consequences of war have affected all of these things for the people, the population. Whether it's underage kids, whether they're trying to have access to good education, whether they're trying to have access to good healthcare. And unfortunately, the consequences of war is what all of these things have been taken away from everyone. I'll get a little bit more interactive, but I hope a lot more of you are going to contribute this time. I want to give you guys a scenario. So talk amongst your peers. I'll give you guys a few seconds to think about it. Of a simple conflict scenario that comes up. As high schoolers, there's always conflicts amongst friends and disagreements with friends or peers or from the outside community or anywhere. I want you guys to give me a simple example, a solution of how you would peacefully resolve a conflict or disagreement amongst your peers. So you guys can chat about it for a few seconds amongst yourselves and get back. Peace that you guys have for yourselves, but also work towards it long term to bring peace and stability to those less fortunate. Just like any of us here in this room, whether young or whether a little bit older. Many, many people around the world, specifically in the wars that you guys mentioned, whether historical or present. There's people just the same age as us, or older, or younger. But they do not have the capabilities, the resources, or the opportunities that we are able to have here at the moment. I'll circle back to Afghanistan as an example. See a group of young ladies here studying, which is amazing. Afghanistan, where I'm from, 2021. I don't know if any of you guys follow the news much, but 2021, August 15th, a terrorist group took over the country, and they still hold the country. And unfortunately, since then, they've banned access to education for women. They've banned access for women to work. So girls over the age of over sixth grade, are not allowed to leave the house without a male companion. They're not allowed to go into educational facility. They're not allowed to go into working areas. So they're supposed to be just staying at home, doing nothing. And for the past 3 years, this has been going on within the country. So now we see on a global scale of how appreciative we're supposed to be on this side of the spectrum, where we have access to everything. And when we see what we have in contrast and in comparison, hopefully it brings to our attention how lucky and blessed each and every single one of us are to be in this situation rather than that. I'll focus a little bit now on how to preserve peace within your communities, within yourselves, and hopefully step by step on a larger and global scale. First thing I would like to say is be kind to one another, understand one another, and please communicate. As you grow older, I'm not very much older than all of you guys here, so some of the things that we were taught at 15, 16, we would be like someone who was 25 or 26 or 30, they tell us certain things, but we disagree with it. We'd be like, no, this is different for us, you don't understand. But slowly as time went on, we noticed that everything is just the same way, and now we're that same old person that someone used to teach us something, and we'd be like, no, and now we have to tell someone younger than us the same exact thing and repeat it over. I know you guys might have the same feeling, but hopefully within a few years, or maybe sooner than us, you'd understand that, okay, some things are different. Earlier when we shared the scenarios and peaceful resolutions to issues, the thing that we mentioned was key, was communication. So I hope as you're all finishing 9th grade and starting 10th grade next year, that as you go on through this journey of high school and college and continue on your careers after that, that you guys are able to implement the fact that communication is key within your lives, within your peers, within your families, within your society. If you are not able to communicate, if none of you guys were able to share what you meant with me earlier, I would never have understood it. So put yourself in the shoes of whoever you may be requesting or expecting a talk with. Whether it's a friend, talk to them. Whether it's a peer, talk to them. Whether it's family, talk to them. That is the first approach on a personal scale that we can bring in order to just for the fact of achieving peace. Now we focus on the community aspect. Work within your communities. create a peaceful environment within your communities. Just the same way that you guys feel comfortable and peaceful, whether in the areas that you live in, whether in the schools that you attend. Keep it like that. Preserve it. Make it better. Not only for yourself, but for the people who are due to come in after you. You guys are in 9th grade, you guys see 6th graders or younger kids running around here. They're going to be in the same shoes that you are in a few years. And you're going to be in the same position of the students that are older than you. So preserve that. At least if you see a mistake in it, make it better for them. Because step by step, we can have a better world for us, a better community for us. As the saying goes, drop by drop, we can create an ocean. So please, I urge that we do that. Because as long as we can keep peace within our communities, within the areas that we live in, and hopefully impact that on a larger scale within the countries that we live in, we are able to bring at least some sort of an example of sustainable peace around the world. That hopefully countries that are currently in conflict, or from historical lessons that we have learned, that we are able to learn from the past mistakes and the current mistakes that we have, and preserve, make something better of it, or preserve the better things that we have right now, and take on to the future with us. I'll talk a little bit about, hope you guys are not bored. Some of you guys seem like you're tired, sleepy a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about some current global issues with you guys. You guys follow the media on a daily, news and everything? Raise your hands if you guys do. Are you guys interested in following it, or you guys usually try to avoid it? I want to talk to you guys briefly about the global challenges that, like war, and what it causes. Poverty. Circle back to Afghanistan with you guys. Over 91% of the population lives in poverty in Afghanistan. They do not have access to food. They do not have access to water. They do not have access to housing. A large majority of the people are unemployed, and millions of kids are dying of hunger at the moment. Where sometimes I used to eat at the cafeteria in school. A lot of the times we throw a lot of the food away because we complain. So like I said, step by step, communication, make the simple things in life better, just so we can learn and preserve what's good. And another thing which is key is within the current global issues is discrimination. Unfortunately, with recent political events and wars and instability that has come across, this isn't something new. This is something that's going to date back decades to centuries for us. Is discrimination. That hopefully, as I mentioned earlier, that we're able to treat each other with kindness and talk with one another and avoid anything that's going to cause a conflict amongst us, amongst your peers, amongst your families, or within your communities. Because it starts from there. It stems from there for us. Because if we're not able to keep a peaceful community for ourselves, how do we expect to keep peace on a larger scale? Do you guys agree with all of the wars that are going around the world? Raise your hands if you do. With all of the wars that are going around the world. Do you guys disagree with it? Raise your hands if you do. Disagree with it, yeah. Would you guys want there to be peace? Raise your hands if you do. So keep that lesson for yourselves. If you guys want to see global change, bring that change within yourselves. As Gandhi always said, if you want to bring change, I wanted to bring change around the world, so I started with myself. Bring change within yourselves, because you have friends, you have family. Each of you have a different friend group, a different family. So if you can bring that change within yourselves, hopefully, step by step, someone else will learn from it. And through that, we can create a ripple effect of bringing change on a longer term, on a larger scale for all of us. So I want to ask you guys a question now, and hopefully you guys are active. And if not, I'll choose one from this side, one from here, one from here. I'll choose 5 of them. So get active again. I want you guys to brainstorm of how to promote peace within your schools and within your community. And if you feel like you want to, feel free to say, what's something that you would do to create peace and stability around the world as well? Think about it. Yes?
We said that it's important for people in our school and our communities to have an open mind and just be more open-minded towards each other, and you never know what someone's going through, and to be more like forthcoming and understanding other people's situations more.
Beautiful.
So, as mentioned earlier, regarding communication, have clear communication, and so that everyone gets their point straight. And from that on, look for possibilities that can benefit everyone equally, and no one's going to feel more like underthrown.
Okay, or left out.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so like I said, the key, like we understood, the key thing out of all of this is communication, engagement with one another, and understanding one another, which are key aspects that I actually believe that are very important in maintaining peace, not only within our communities, with ourselves, and hopefully on a larger scale. And we see that if these things are understood on a larger aspect, that we wouldn't necessarily face a lot of the conflicts and issues that we are currently facing. I think we have like 4 minutes left. So I want to leave you guys with 2 quotes. And I hope that you guys think about it. I'm here at the school throughout the day. So if you guys do decide to think about it, feel free, if you see me in the hallways or anything, to ask me. The first quote that I'd like to leave you guys with, who knows who Thomas Jefferson is? Okay, he's the former US president. One of his very famous quotes is, he said, "If I had to choose between government and a free press, I would choose a free press." Do you guys get what that means? The key thing about this quote and message is, we are only able to strive as a democracy and as a government based on the free press that we have. So I hope that whatever information that you guys may be consuming from whatever social media outlet that may be, that you guys are able to double check it for yourselves. Unfortunately, a lot of the media a lot of the information may come out as inaccurate, or a lot of the things that you may be misinformed about. So I hope that you guys are able to check that, because on a daily basis in your lives and the way that you think and the way that you shape your lives, it's going to be playing a key and major role into doing that. And another quote that I'll leave you guys with is from Mark Twain, where he said, "Those who don't read the news are uninformed, but those who do are misinformed." So think about those 2 quotes and hopefully question information that comes into your lives, and question the information and critically think about whatever it may be. Don't just accept it because someone said it. Look into the roots of everything. Question everything for yourselves within your lives, but on a positive scale, not because you're doubting it, but just to approve it, just to fact check it.